This is a quick overview, but I have to tell you what they've done in the past. Oh, God, this is so batshit. Okay. New mic, who this?
I was just thinking that, actually. Weird.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I was thinking about recently?
Oh. Okay.
Only because it was brought to my attention that, well, I was watching Laguna Beach. Sometimes, you need a palate cleanser,
Oh.
And some girl was talking to some guy about some other girl, obviously.
Duh.
And said, let me guess, she tried to get on you and you rejected her? And I was like, get on you? Is that the term? And then it sounded familiar. And I was like, I think we used to say, like, she tried to get on him.
I don't know about that.
That means, like, made a pass at him, like, tried to hook up with him.
No, I get it.
I know. But I'm like, but now I just think of getting on your shoulders.
Fun.
So I'm like, oh, that's fun. She tried to get on your shoulders or what? But that
cute.
And it was like how we used to say pregame. It was like, where are we going to get started? Did y'all call it that? Get started.
Get started.
And pregame was a term. So, like, why don't we just call it pregame?
I don't know. Because we wanted to get started.
Where are we getting started tonight? My parents are going to dinner, so we can get started at my house type of thing.
Oh, my God. Yes. Oh, my God. Miss it. Let's go. 2006.
Whoop, whoop.
Seniors 06.
Okay. This one is a long one. I'm going to jump in here. But first, I've got to tell y'all, Max DeVries.
Mm-hmm.
I did a TikTok on this story last November of 2023. And his mother commented on it, she's looking to get as many followers as she can to bring attention to this case, her son's story. It's Max to the millions. I'll recap it. He's a 14-year-old boy who went missing in none other than Aruba in 2004. He was last seen with actually fellow Americans. They were also on a trip. They invited him to go jet skiing. They were staying at the same resort as Max and his family. And I think it's notable that Max was down there with his mom and sister after his father sadly passed away from a heart attack unexpectedly. So then they go to Aruba. Max goes on these jet skis with these two men, and he's never seen or heard from again. His mother straight up asked the men who did come back where the hell her son was. And they gave some bullshit story about how he got off the jet ski and floated away and they just left him. Some bullshit story. And so she went to the police. The police said, this is in America. We can't just like hook him up to a polygraph or whatever. So they weren't helpful. But because they were American tourists, these men, it's FBI's jurisdiction. They closed the case. This is 2004. They had to leave the island without their son and brother.
With no answers.
With no answers.
No idea what happened.
And the FBI closed the case. She wants it reopened. In order to go live on TikTok, I Googled that she needs 1,000 followers. If you're on TikTok, go follow her. It's Max to the millions. And you'll see this preteen boy holding a big fish. That's his picture. That's Max. It could be Max in Aruba. I don't know. He's
young.
So young. He's 14.
But nothing.
So go follow her. She does a plea on TikTok being like, I'm so new to this. I think I have to have 500 followers to get to share a live story, which is what I want to do to share my son's story. But I Googled it and it said 1,000. I don't know.
She's close.
She's
but
close.
Just go follow her and go listen to her story. It's really sad. And there's like nothing has come from it. And these two dudes are just
living life.
Have had to answer to nothing. It's bizarre.
It's weird. Okay,
go help her out.
Yeah. Max to the millions is the TikTok. Or you can go to ours, People Are the Worst, and it's my third post.
Oh, yeah. Sad.
Okay.
Very sad.
Very sad.
So weird because usually Aruban authorities are so on it.
I know, right? If you're new here, we went to high school with Natalie Holloway and did a lengthy 4-part episode on her story, telling personals and anecdotes
and showing that Aruban authorities are not on it.
No, that was sarcasm presented by Rach.
I'll be here all week.
We're not one of these unbiased podcasters, especially when it comes to Natalie.
No. Sorry.
So sorry. I heard a podcast do a story on her and they kept saying, the alleged killer. I'm like, okay.
No, we're done with that.
We're done with that.
We were done with that before he confessed.
Oh,
I've never been on board with
Well,
the
it was
alleged.
like posted a year ago when he hadn't confessed. I'm like, oh,
Well.
I threw away that word talking about Joran van der Sloot a long time ago.
Sue me. Sue me, Joran. Sue me, Paulus. Psych.
Dad.
Gosh, this is too much.
I could get on it.
I know we could go on and on, but apparently Rebecca has like the longest story we've ever told. So buckle up. I got to get comfy. Got my coffee.
Well, today I'm telling you about Sandra Hemme. And this name might sound familiar if you too follow any news source on Instagram or Reddit, because there was some breaking news on July 19th about this case. And I was intrigued and was planning to just actually do a TikTok about it. But it infuriated me so much that I thought I'd dedicate an entire episode to it. So y'all can be pissed off with me. Join me, won't you?
I forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, I knew that you were doing something with the story, but oh my God, yeah, it's been in the news. This is timely.
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Tell me about it, because she would not let me watch the TikTok, and I really didn't. I respect wishes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very respectful over here.
Yeah, well, we'll burn this world down together.
Oh, we ride at dawn.
Well, after reading one particular part, I knew I had to do it. So here we go. Sources. Transcripts from the trial, 118 pages. Actually, read it like a book.
Oh my God.
Read every last word.
Oof.
Kansas City Star, The Innocence Project, and Ozark's True Crime actually has an entire season dedicated to this case. Host Ann Roderick Joan went to all the hearings. She conducted interviews with law enforcement. So if you really want a deep dive, go to her podcast for sure, because I think it's like 10 episodes on it.
Oh, damn.
Okay, I'm going to start with some very intricate details that are very matter of fact, but it's crucial that you know it. Also, I'm going to sound so well-versed in the psychology space, which is so fun.
Don't be fooled.
A lot of expert opinion from the trial.
Oh, okay.
Patricia Jeschke. Such a hard name to say. Too many sh sounds.
Okay, we'll just say Patricia.
Oh. She's a murder victim. I'm going to say her last name.
Oh, I know. I'm saying moving forward.
Yeah, moving forward, obviously.
Okay.
Actually, all her friends called her Pat, so you'll probably hear me call her Patricia, Pat, you know. On Wednesday, November 12th, 1980, 31-year-old Pat Jeschke worked her regular shift at St. Joseph's Public Library from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. She was dressed in a white and gray three-piece pantsuit. A coworker saw her at around 4:55 p.m. and she told that coworker that she had a religion class at St. Francis Xavier Church that night at 7 p.m. At approximately 5 p.m., Pat was seen by someone she knew driving alone in her small white two-seater sports car through downtown St. Joseph.
What is St. Joseph? Where?
Oh, Missouri. I'm so sorry. St. Joseph, Missouri.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's okay.
It's near Kansas City.
I mean, I figured somewhere up there based on your sources, but wasn't sure.
So sorry. When Pat didn't show up for work the next day, library director Dorothy Elliott called her mother, who went over to Pat's house and saw her car there, but the door was locked. She climbed through the window and found her naked daughter lying in a pool of blood on the bedroom floor.
Sad.
Horrifying, I know. A pillow was placed over her face and her hands were bound with telephone cords behind her back. She had 3 critical wounds to her head as a result of a blunt and sharp object, according to court docs. She was sexually assaulted and beaten and strangled. But one source said she was stabbed in the back of the head, which is all the court doc said was a sharp object. So I'm like, okay.
Probably was a knife. Some do that.
Yeah.
They won't say like a knife. They say blunt force trauma with a sharp weapon or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they were stabbed.
Right. But cause of death was beaten and strangulation.
Oh, okay.
There were no signs of forced entry, but several personal items were gone, like her jewelry, her purse. So she was robbed. There were 2 pieces of cut TV antenna wire found on the floor next to her body, which this isn't confirmed, but I'm guessing maybe this was used to strangle her, but it broke in half.
Wait, an antenna wire?
Yeah.
Like what year is this?
1980.
Oh, okay.
Back then, newspaper photographers were allowed in the crime scenes with police so they could get all the information from the jump and take pictures as the cops are processing it.
It's such a bad idea.
I know.
Good Lord.
This murder was covered all over Missouri. It went viral for 1980. It was the top story for several weeks. Pictures of Pat's bedroom, the exterior of her house, and her address were blasted all over the newspapers and local news.
Yeesh.
With media attention comes pressure on the police. And after about a week, papers started headlining that the cops had no leads. Not a good look. So they started working all day and all night on this case. 2 weeks later, on November 25th, 1980, police respond to a call from nurse L. McBain's home after she called 911 to report a former patient of hers wouldn't leave her house. Cops come and find 20-year-old psychiatric patient Sandra Hemme in a closet with a knife. They apprehend her and take her back to St. Joseph's State Hospital, where she had been treated on and off since she was 12 years old.
Oh, my God.
Police found that her latest release from the hospital was the day of Pat's murder. So they're very suspicious. But first, let's talk about Sandra.
This is going to be sad.
Yes, it is
I'm
horrible.
dreading this.
You should be. There isn't a ton on her upbringing that I could find, but according to Dr. Judith Edersheim, who is a board-certified forensic psychiatrist and has a ton of forensic evaluations under her belt, she's head bitch in charge.
HBIC.
HBIC. And she reviewed Sandra's files extensively. So here's what we know. Sandra began using drugs at the age of 9 and began hearing voices at the age of 12 shortly after a sudden death of a family member. Then she was sexually abused by, I believe, another relative. So she experienced delusional thinking, depression, and substance abuse and spent the majority of her days between the ages of 12 to 20 in institutions. In fact, they added up her time that she wasn't institutionalized. Like they would release her for like days at a time, then she'd go back. So they totaled up the amount she was out and it was about 3 years total from the age of 12 to 20. So for 8 years, she was out, for days at a time. That totaled up to 3 years. It's insane.
Sad.
During this time, by the age of 20, she did have a daughter. I don't know where to drop that in.
Okay.
Just know she has an infant daughter at the age of 20.
Mm-hmm.
Her psychiatric records describe her thoughts as disorganized and included auditory hallucinations, i.e. hearing voices, or e.g. I secretly don't know how to use those.
What?
I.e. and e.g.
Oh, e.g. is for example, i.e. is that is. Oh my, yeah.
Y'all don't trust me to tell y'all credible stories anymore.
Just end it.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So i.e., that's right, hearing voices, and symptoms of derealization, which is the mental state that causes people to feel detached from their surroundings and perceive the world as unreal. As a child, to treat this, she was given electroconvulsive therapy.
Oh, sad.
Which is sending an electric current into the brain and it induces a seizure. What
why
fucking
do they want
good?
That? It's electrotherapy. Electroshock therapy.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen
any movie.
Two Fleas Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh God, yes. It's traumatic watching it as a audience member.
Knowing that they're actors. Yeah. Oh God.
And what fucking good would that do on a developing brain? Y'all serious?
I know. Weird.
Surprising to no one, this had detrimental effects actually on her memory and cognitive function because it damages the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain's functions are thinking, problem solving, and memory processing. It supervises the other areas of the brain, just sending electric shocks to it.
You're real proud of yourself, aren't you?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you sound like a doctor.
Rebecca Blackstock.
Neurosurgeon.
Yeah. I'm a neurologist, actually.
I know, clearly.
Okay. Now, typically, this would be done when the patient is under anesthesia.
Oh.
Sandra was not.
Oh, no.
That simply wasn't the practice in the 80s, so treatment is very painful and very traumatic.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so sad. How old is she? 12?
Well, no, at this point, she's 20, but she's been doing this since she was 12. So
yeah. Ugh.
On November 12th, the day Pat was murdered, Sandra was discharged from the hospital against medical advice around 1 p.m. According to court documents, the nurse noted in the discharge paperwork that she appeared, quote, obviously very high. And then she put in parentheses, amphetamine user.
Wait, why do they release her for days
at a time? I don't know. I really don't understand this. And I don't understand because they mention a lot that she was still using illegal drugs while in the hospital. So I don't I don't know what security or supervision was like on a regular basis in state hospitals in the 70s and 80s. Or maybe as an addict, they let her have a little to prevent withdrawals. I do not know. But
Huh.
she is
Okay.
still using drugs while she's in there. After being discharged that day, she hitchhikes 100 miles across the state to her parents' house in Concordia, Missouri. She stays with them for 2 days and voluntarily goes back to the hospital on November 14th. Like her parents drop her off. She spent the next 10 days in what they call a volatile state. She was apparently very erratic. Again, they mentioned drug use. And once again, she's discharged against medical advice on November 24th, 1980. The next
Against
day,
medical advice.
Right.
I'm so confused. But no, okay. I know things were batshit back then. I'm sure we'll have a listener that's like really in the know.
Oh, yeah. Please let us know, because I guess she wasn't bad enough to like keep there. I don't know. She was like doing this in and out treatment,
Okay.
obviously spending way more time in than out, as I noted before.
Okay.
The next day, November 25th, is when police get a call from that nurse. They find Sandra in the closet. That thing, when she's brought back to St. Joseph's, they put her under a 96-hour police hold. This meant she had zero freedom. It said movements are restricted. Movements.
She's in a straitjacket, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You're supposed to be visible the entire time. The physician noted when admitting her that she was not communicative. She was silent. She had her head in her hands, and they had to force her to talk. I do not know what that entails. I'm sure it's inhumane and awful.
I don't want to know.
And I'm glad I don't know it. Yeah. On November 28th.
I hate when you can't even start a sentence.
You just have to know the severity of it. I'm not all this medical talk the whole time. I'm almost done.
Good, because what a sham.
Am I losing you?
No, I'm ready for my sister to come back. I miss her. Where is she?
Your idiot sister who doesn't know IE from EG.
Yeah, where'd that girl go?
I'm here. My talk's almost over. On November 28th, she was injected with an antipsychotic medication designed to control her thinking and, quote, overcome her will.
Oh my God.
It's known as a chemical restraint. It's called haloperidol, and according to Dr. Edersheim, it's made to reorder thinking. This is like batshit.
Is it? I'm guessing that's not a thing anymore.
Actually, I do think it's used in severe. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's not in a second. What's not allowed to be used anymore.
Oh, Lord.
Sandra had an allergic reaction to this medication, and it gave her what Ann Roderick, the host of that Ozark podcast, refers to as instant Parkinson's disease.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. The doctor said she was lying on the bed, and her eyes were, these are doctor's notes from that day, that she was lying on the bed, her eyes were rolling back in her head. She continuously told nurses it felt like someone was pulling her head backwards and pulling her on her back. Dr. Edersheim later testified that severe muscle cramping that results from this reaction is very painful and appeared to be most dangerous in this scenario because it was happening to her eyes, face, and throat.
Oh, gosh.
Mm-hmm. Early that morning, around 1:45 a.m., Sandra was banging on the walls of the hospital, demanding to be let out, so doctors put her in leather restraints and administered haloperidol again.
Oh, no.
Followed by chloral hydrate, which is a sedative typically used to treat insomnia because it almost instantly knocks you out cold. And Dr. Edersheim said this is no longer used because the properties are so powerful, it's unsafe.
Sounds like a lot of this is.
Yeah, for sure. They gave her this to help with her pain, but it was unsuccessful. She felt every little thing.
Oh, no.
It was shortly after Sandra took this sedative, police came to question her about Pat's murder.
What?
Who the fuck okayed that?
Whoa.
I think it's very important to note that none of these interrogations are recorded. Obviously, there's no camera in the corner, but they usually do a tape recording back in the day.
Yeah.
Except for this case. It's so weird.
Weird.
The treatment nurses who were in the room during this questioning documented that Sandra was shaking, spacey, and appeared to be confused and unaware of what was happening. And the police notes, because while it wasn't recorded, they did take notes. They said that she tended to wander off when responding to questions. They couldn't follow the information she was relaying, and her ability to focus was inconsistent. They also noted that she kept complaining about her muscle spasms. They disregard
Okay.
that. You're in pain? Okay.
Hmm.
They show her a picture of Pat and very clearly nudge Sandra toward the fact that they know each other. So being in the state of mind, she says maybe they got high together once, but says, as quoted in the police notes, that she doesn't remember ever meeting her. Even in that state, she's like, I don't know that chick.
This is so bizarre.
But there's a reason, right? So stick with me.
I can't. I'm out.
The following day, they changed her antipsychotic medication to Navain, which was administered every 6 hours. Common side effects of Navain include dizziness, drowsiness, sedation, and memory disruption, among a lot of others. Mind you, nothing is helping the pain subside. She's still complaining of muscle spasms, and when you're in that much pain, it trumps all other rational thinking. Any answer she gave could be influenced by pain, which one of the detectives later claimed he didn't know she was in pain. Well, except it's in your notes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So sorry. They questioned her again on December 1st, and again, the notes say she was complaining about neck pain and her speech was slurred. Here's what else she said in that state of mind. She said on November 12th, the day of the murder, a man and a woman picked her up from the hospital in a light blue car. The man's name was Joe, and she doesn't remember the woman's name, but she was wearing all blue, and it may have been Patricia. The detective notes confirm this is inconsistent with witnesses who saw Pat that night. She wasn't wearing blue. Remember, she was wearing a white and gray pantsuit.
Yeah.
And Sandra was discharged at 1 p.m. We all know Pat was at work at that time. Whatever, I guess. I guess they'll figure out a way to make it Pat.
Oh, God.
Sandra goes on to say they dropped her off at an exit and she hitchhiked the rest of the way home. December 2nd, another interrogation. Nurse notes that after several hours, Sandra's head started falling back due to the medication she was on. It's also noted that because they had been in there for so long, she was experiencing withdrawals during the questioning.
Oh, no.
She's physically withdrawing.
And so, okay, I don't know. The nurses aren't like, we have to get her out. Are these good nurses, bad nurses? I don't understand.
I'm like, I don't know if they're intimidated by all these cops in there. I do not understand. And the only things that are noted are like Sandy's reactions to things. Like, I don't know what the cops are saying. If they're like threatening the nurses, who knows?
Okay.
Like, keep your fucking mouth shut. This is how it's done. And they're like 20 something. They're like, oh, it is. Okay.
Then why are we even in here?
That's protocol, the law. A medical staff member has to supervise her in case she, starts withdrawing.
It's just weird that they're following just enough of the law. It seems like it's just annoying. I mean, it's not. I know there are cases like this, but geez,
I know. Dr. Edersheim later testified that withdrawals enhance confusion and negatively impacts decision-making and attention. It will also cause someone to prioritize short-term relief, such as saying anything to end the distress associated with police-led questioning.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Other experts say in this state of mind plus sleep deprivation, Sandra would have had such a thin grasp of reality that she was far more likely to believe interrogators when she was presented with crimes that she, quote, must have committed and doesn't recall.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, it's very common to start filling in information based on what cops are telling her. Basically, anything they say, she repeats as facts.
Yeah.
And in this case, cops start making her believe that she's capable of murder. But because they weren't recorded, I don't know how or what, like how they made her think this, what they said. So annoying.
Well, I don't want to know.
So here's what they got out of her in this interrogation. She indicated that she was picked up at 1 p.m. in downtown St. Joseph, not at the hospital, by a man and woman driving a brown car. And this time it was the same woman in the picture that Detective Fuston showed her on November 28th.
Oh my God, this is sad.
I know. She said she was wearing a light blue suit and her name was Pat. She also gave the guy a last name this time, Joe Wobski, because before she just said his name was Joe. Mm-hmm. Joe Wobski. She said they went to a house and Joe and Pat went inside while Sandra waited in the car. Then Joe came out covered in blood and told her he killed that fucking bitch. The detective noted that in his report that the times and locations were, quote, inconsistent with what she previously said, so additional interviews will be conducted.
Oh my God.
That's so fucking annoying. The following day, she's taken to the crime scene, Pat's house, without prescribed medication and without a medical professional with her. Not normal, way outside protocol, not allowed. Someone should have been there with her. She's away from the hospital for 6 hours. And according to Detective Fuston, Sandra actually led them to the house. Bullshit.
Oh, sure. Sure.
And without being with her medication, when later they asked her how she got to the house, she said she had ESP. Like, she's so, come on, people.
Right.
And in reality, y'all blasted her house all over the newspaper. And y'all took, I bet they took her there and they're like, is this it? And she's like, sure. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
Pat's house?
Yeah, Pat's house was all over the newspaper, all over the news.
Yeah. She's
They
like, oh,
took
this
her-
does look familiar.
Yeah. They took her inside, which was now empty, and showed her more crime scene photos of Pat's naked, bound body and pointed out exactly where everything happened. Like, she was attacked here, then dragged here, really walked her through this gruesome scene. They take her back to the station, and after hours of coercion, let's just call it what it is, they had her give a written statement. This time she said she saw Joe sexually assault Pat on her bed, dragged her body to the floor, and strangled her with pantyhose. In the statement, she gave very specific details. Like, she mentioned that Pat had an 8x10 graduation picture on the wall, floral bed sheets, and she described the table that the TV was sitting on. I mean, very clearly fed this information.
Right.
Or even got them from the crime scene photos.
Yeah, I was about to say. She
minus
saw it.
Yeah, minus the floral bed sheets, because they used this against her, but those bed sheets were in the newspaper. I've seen one of the newspapers, and it's taken while the photographer is like standing next to the head of the bed. So essentially the bed is the biggest thing in this picture, and the sheets are wadded up on top of it. Even in a grainy black and white shot, you can see they're floral sheets.
Okay.
They found Joe Wobski. That's a real person.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, why are they not focusing on this guy she's saying?
Oh, they do. They found him. He is a real person. They arrest him for capital murder, only to find out a few days. I know. They just get him.
Wow.
Only to find out a few days later that he was actually in rehab the night of the murder and couldn't have done it. He had no clue who Patricia was and didn't even really know Sandra. He said that they were in the same detox unit in the state hospital at one point, which is how she came up with his name. So they dropped charges against him. And when Sandra hears this, she's in disbelief. She starts crying and says she feels like she's going crazy.
Oh, no.
No, that's because your thoughts have been chemically controlled from a young age.
Well, wait.
Fucking thing.
And they drop his charges. Clearly, her entire story is not true.
Right. It's not credible. Nothing.
Oh, my God. I hate everyone involved except for Sandra.
So
and Pat.
Yes.
And honestly, Joe, he didn't do shit.
Oh, yeah. Joe didn't do shit.
Okay. I'm annoyed.
Then they suggest to her maybe she did it on her own, and she agrees that maybe she did.
Stop.
God.
I hate
After
this.
being questioned by police for an undocumented amount of time, a court reporter came in to give her statement, and this is what they came out with. Sandra claimed that that night she was alone, picked up by Patricia, who had a brown car. Again, I said at the beginning, she had a white sports car.
Yeah.
God. Then Sandra killed Pat as a result of a drug deal gone wrong. When asked how she knew Patricia, Sandra said, quote, "The library. They said I know her from Platt's, but I don't remember her from Platt's. I'm not sure what Platt's is. I tried to look it up. Maybe it's a different library, or maybe that's what they call their public library. Couldn't find it. But point being, she said, they say I knew her
Yeah.
from,
It's ridiculous.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
In reality, there's no evidence that her and Patricia ever crossed paths in their entire lives. She said she discarded the knife in one location and threw Pat's purse in a ditch at another location. And she drew them a diagram of where they can find them. But when cops went to recover them, there was nothing. In fact, there is no ditch where she said she threw the purse. It's only sidewalk.
Wasn't there sexual assault?
Yeah, there was.
And was there semen found at the sexual assault
No, but
kit? Whatever.
there were 2 black hairs, which we'll get into.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is not adding up.
No,
It's not
sure
adding up.
isn't.
And I
It's
am
weird.
not a detective. I just play one on a podcast.
Well, I'm a forensic psychiatrist, and I'm telling you right now, she didn't do it.
Y'all. She's not.
I'm real cocky right now.
My God, for real.
On top of all this, Patricia's family says absolutely no way that's true. Pat was a very straight-laced girl, spent most of her free time at church events, which is where she was going the night she was murdered, not picking up Sandra from a hospital. Nope. She was at work, then went to church during the supposed time she picked Sandra up. The victim herself has an alibi. Pat's best friend since first grade later testified that once they were at a concert and smelled weed, and Pat made them leave because she was worried that her job would find out she was around drugs and fire her.
Oh
This
my
was the 70s, man.
God.
Like, this girl is not doing drugs, much less buying and selling them, or involved in any sort of drug deal.
Right.
Not
God,
her
if
vibe.
I'm Pat's family, I'm furious. Like, quit wasting time with this. She doesn't
Right.
know this woman. This woman is everything she's saying is not credible.
Right.
Please find the real killer. Why are we wasting time?
Exactly.
They waste a lot of time. I do know that.
But Sandy sits in jail while they continue building a case against her, which I'm like, is that the wobbliest case? This whole thing is baffling. While in there, someone named Bobby Cummings wrote Sandra and explains it was him who picked her up from the hospital when she was discharged.
Bobby, go to the police. Don't go to
worry.
Sandra with this.
He was the one who gave her a ride the day of the murder. So Sandra's attorney contacted him, and Detective Fuston brought him in to be interviewed. And he said he was driving in St. Joseph's when he saw a girl hitchhiking by some auto shop on Frederick Avenue, and he picked her up. He claimed she was very clearly on something. He indicated speed and said that she was trying to get to her parents' house in Concordia, which is almost 2 hours away. He offered to drop her in Dearborn, which is where he was going, so it shaves off like 30 minutes of her journey.
Mm-hmm.
They get in, they chat. He even mentions that his back was killing him from driving, so Sandra offered to walk on it for him. They actually pulled over. He laid on the side of the road, and she walked on it.
Oh my God!
Remember
I guess
Mom
I was
used
like
to make us
do that.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I made Britton do it the other day.
You did?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make my kids walk my back. I forgot about that.
He dropped her off at exit 12 in Dearborn. They asked what color car he drove. Tan. This is the brown car she keeps referring to. He willingly took a polygraph, passed, and left. Sandy
He knew where her parents lived.
He didn't.
Oh, he said she was trying to get to her parents' house in Concordia.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
they
yeah.
actually lived in Concordia. He didn't just make that up. Come on.
No.
I'm really getting pissed.
I know.
Okay.
Sandy has her preliminary hearing, and let me be clear in that none of this that I'm talking about was presented. Nothing. Not one thing I'm telling you about her mental state, her intake of antipsychotic medication, Bobby Cummings coming forward. Nothing.
I have no doubt. Clearly, they would have been like, we're not indicting her. Get the hell out of here.
I know. On April 10th, 1981, at the advice of her counsel, Dale Sullivan, she pled guilty to Class A felony, but when the judge asked for Sandra to describe what she had done, this is what she said. Quote,
God.
I can't say for sure whether hitchhiking is how I got with Pat or not. It is pretty well messed up. I really didn't know I had done it until like 3 days later, when it came out in the paper and on the news. I didn't think I'd honestly done it until I seen it in the paper, And because of this vague statement, the judge refused to accept her plea.
Oh.
Don't
good.
worry.
I was wondering, can the judge be like, this doesn't feel right? Oh. So she has a trial, though. That's what that means.
Well, no. The prosecutor and Sandra's defense attorney requested a short recess, and after a 20-minute break with her own defense attorney, Sandra came back and gave the judge more intricate details to tie back to the crime scene, like the phone cord around her neck and the broken TV antenna next to her. And then the plea was accepted.
Oh. Did her defense attorney didn't know all this stuff?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Wow.
Sandra was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And then in 1983, her new attorney, Larry Harmon, filed a motion to set aside the guilty plea, claiming her former attorney, Dale Sullivan, didn't act in a reasonable or competent manner and failed to look at Sandra's mental health history before allowing her to plead guilty. They allowed her to withdraw her plea and ordered a new trial, which took place in June of 1985. This is 5 years after the murder. And it was a one-day trial.
No, it was not.
Prosecutor Patrick Robb didn't change his tactic. He used her own statements against her because what else does he have? Nothing. Arguing that she said things only the killer would know. Again, like the TV antenna wires being next to the body, which wasn't in the newspaper. But it wasn't the crime scene photos that y'all shoved in her face. Y'all fed her information. God, if I saw those crime scene photos, it's all I can see. I'll tell you every detail that's ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
Assholes.
Ooh.
Defense argues that aside from her own statements, there's nothing, no physical evidence tying her to the murder whatsoever. But again, nothing was presented to the jury. Not one witness was called, like the nurses present and questioning, to talk about her essentially falling asleep during the interview.
Yeah.
Or the fact that her head would fall forward and they would like force it upright. They restrained her to a chair to make her head. I mean, it's just.
Or Bobby.
Yeah. Bobby wasn't called. Just,
the guy who picked her up and was like, no, we didn't go commit murder. Joe. Remember when she said it was me? I was in rehab. I have the best alibi ever.
Right.
None of this is credible. This is all crap.
Right. They have none of that. No medical professional to discuss the effects of those antipsychotic meds she was on. So juries are completely unaware of her state of mind. They just hear that last statement she made in writing. That's it. They don't know that she was inconsistent. I know. I found this so weird because the whole motion of the retrial was based on the fact that her former attorney didn't dig into her mental history.
So where's the new defense attorney?
I don't know why he didn't either. Or order a mental evaluation.
Stop.
Or bring up the fact that none of the questionings were recorded. This is clear coercion. That something happened in that room. They came out with a written statement from a psychiatric patient. So, come on.
Or the victim's family who's like, this did not happen. Pat did not know this woman. Good
I know
Lord.
It was the 80s, but like police protocol, there's still police protocol about right and wrong ways and times to interrogate someone. Like, oh, she just took a powerful sedative. Let's table this interview. Let's shelf it. Let's revisit later.
I was -2 at the second trial, and I would have done a better job. I'm sorry, I would have.
Yeah. I honestly don't understand. But out of the 118 pages of court documents I read, this one-day trial was 2 paragraphs. So nothing eventful happened.
Oh my
except,
God.
once again, the system failed Sandra, and she was found guilty of capital murder and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 50 years.
Jesus.
She wrote to her mom and told her that she was innocent, but she was just tired. She knows the cops want to pin it on someone and she can't fight it. And she asked her mom to raise her daughter and to make sure that she knows mommy never killed that lady.
I forgot she had a daughter.
I know. It's so fucking sad. There were a few motions filed for her, one in 1989, one in 1992. They were both denied. So she had no choice but to sit in prison. And there she stayed for 43 years. And then the Innocence Project said, fuck this, we're stepping in. And they put attorneys Jane Poocher, Andrew Lee, and Sean O'Brien on her case.
Jane, Andrew, Sean, let's go. LFG. Are you crying?
Yeah, I got teary then.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh my God. What?
No, nothing. It's okay. Because in late February 2023, they filed a motion based on compelling new evidence to prove her innocence. They presented that crucial physical evidence was withheld and ignored by police for 4 decades. And it was evidence that pointed directly to one of their own officers, Michael Holman.
No. Oh my God.
Can you fucking believe that?
Was this motherfucker on the case investigating?
Okay.
I am.
No, and I'll tell you why. We're going to get into it.
Because he was like a rookie. I'll just get into it. Oh my God. That son of a bitch.
I find it so fucking interesting that you chose a career that requires compassion. You serve and protect. And you let this mentally ill woman take the fall. You fucking asshole. Oh God. I'm sweating.
Okay.
I'm on one. I
was about to say.
Okay.
We've gotten that comment before. You were on fire this episode. You're so mad. We're going to get it again.
From me? Someone said I was?
Yeah.
Like before?
Oh, yeah.
It was also me?
Yep. It was.
Oh, probably Ashley. Probably that dipshit.
No. You smelled your armpit during
I'm sweating.
That dipshit coach. No, not him. It was the con artist who recently had a hearing in Salt Lake City.
Oh God,
y'all hate men in this episode. I was like, Rebecca was getting real fired up. I'm with you.
Nicholas Aliverdian. That guy's a piece of shit too. Oh God, don't get me. Do not get me. Michael Holman.
Y'all, it's warranted. Did you hear what she just said? Michael Holman?
I am in disbelief. Michael Holman was 22 years old at the time of Pat's murder. He wasn't on their radar, obviously, until police found out that he walked into Western Camera Store in Kansas City on November 13th, 1980, the day after the murder, to purchase some camera equipment for $630. Linda Boding, who was working that day, said the car declined, and when she looked into it, she found that the car belonged to someone named Pat Jeschke.
What?
She called the police.
What?
This is the dipshittery. Get on my level. After investigating, they determined on December 19th, 1980, that it was, in fact, Michael Holman using this murder victim's card. For reference, this was 9 days after Sandra's written confession and about 4 months before her preliminary hearing where she pled guilty. This alone, using the card, this alone is enough to arrest him on suspicion of murder. And they do question him, but it leads to nothing. He's not even fired for this. He does not for this. He does eventually get fired, and we'll get there, but not for this.
Wait, so he's currently a cop when this is all happening?
When this happened.
Wow.
Yeah. They do question him, though, on a very hush-hush basis, because on top of this dipshit using a murder victim's credit card, multiple witnesses say they saw a white Ford pickup truck on the street next to Patricia's house that day. Several witnesses. They find out it was, in fact, his truck, but he said that that's because he took a woman named Mary to Woodland Courts Motel to have sex with her. This motel was located very yards from Pat's house. And when he was walking back to his truck after having sex with Mary, he saw a brown purse in a ditch. And since it contained a credit card, he decided to use it. 2 things here.
So many things here. What do you do?
So many things. Yeah. So you're saying this monster who raped, robbed, and murdered this woman through her credit card just didn't feel right keeping the credit card.
Right.
I guess everyone has a line. It's so weird. On top of that, I bet he knew Sandra's false confession said that she threw the purse in a ditch, and that's why he went with the ditch angle. But I guess he didn't know that they already checked and there is no ditch. But whatever.
Also, you're a cop, and even if that were true, you stole a credit card and used it?
Right.
You're fired?
You're fired.
And who's Mary? Like a sex worker? A sex worker? So you paid for sex and then stole someone's credit card. And
who's Mary?
This is your defense? You're fired at the very least. But also, you murdered that woman.
Mary's a phantom. She's a ghost. They asked for more details about his alibi, but he had none. Mary's last name, so she can corroborate your story.
Smith.
No.
Smith. Oh, damn it.
Yeah. Nope. They asked him to draw a diagram of the motel he and Mary had sex with, but he refused. He then asked to speak to his uncle, who's also a police officer, and that uncle advised Michael to get an attorney. So the interview's over. The motel provided police a list of guests who were staying there the night of the murder, and Michael Holman was not one of them, nor was a woman named Mary. They showed a picture of Michael Holman to the motel owner, and she said he did not look familiar at all. She was the only person working that day. He did not come in. And she pointed out, this hotel owner, that they have a designated parking lot, which has plenty of spaces at any given time. Why would he park down the street in front of Pat's house?
I'm annoyed.
On December 22nd, 1980, police searched Holman's home and found 2 hidden jewelry boxes that his wife said she's never seen before. Yes, he's married.
Okay.
They called Patricia's parents to the police station, and sure enough, inside were Patricia's items, particularly these very distinctive wishbone-shaped earrings with a green stone in the middle that Pat's dad confirmed he bought her at a gift shop in Montana in 1962. This was in a report from December 1980, and it was never given to Sandra's legal team. However, the report was collected by a prosecution investigator in preparation for Sandy's trial. So they knew about it, just the defense didn't.
That's not allowed.
A lot. No, right? It sure isn't.
But
a lot of shady ass things going on. I know it's not allowed. The defense team gets to look at the prosecution file.
I know.
They never put it in there.
I mean, I know she had a new trial, and they didn't mention that. I just don't understand how this went unnoticed. Right. Everyone's in on it, even the defense.
I'm guessing so.
What is happening?
I think prosecution in her recent trial said they never knew about that either. They didn't know about the earrings until it's just the cops not giving things.
Okay,
them.
well, where do we stand? Come on.
Okay, so when the FBI got involved in the 80s, they fingerprinted. This is going to raise more questions because I'm like, FBI should call rank. When FBI got involved in the 80s, they fingerprinted that TV antenna found next to Pat's body. And there were, in fact, third-party prints on there that were determined not to be Pat's or Sandra's. They couldn't determine if it was Holman's or not, so they requested that the police department send a better ink, more distinct print of his, but they never did. Then that antenna somehow got destroyed.
I'm shook.
Surprising to no one, this FBI report ruling Sandy's fingerprints out also left out of her trial. Other pieces of evidence that pointed away from Sandy that didn't make it to her defense team's desk. Police recovered 2 black hairs from Patricia's bedsheet. The hairs were similar in microscopic details to Holman's hair, but it was inconclusive. He couldn't be ruled out or ruled in, but Sandra could be. She was easily ruled out. Determined. Science. Definitely wasn't hers. Pat also lived alone, and police noticed the toilet seat was left up at the crime scene. So figure that one out.
I'm annoyed.
A little more background about this prick Holman. In 1980, he reported his truck stolen, then drove it to the police station to pick up his paycheck.
What? And this fucker got away with murder for 43 years?
And they were like, hi, dipshit, here's your paycheck. Enjoy it because it's your last. You're fired. So that's why he got fired.
Okay.
And he was charged with insurance fraud. The same guy who used a
stolen.
Gosh,
he really is feeling above the law.
I know. Either that, you're just arrogant and cocky as shit, or you're a dumbass when it comes to committing crime. For a cop, you're a real dumbass.
Well, I don't know.
When it comes to committing crimes.
Away with murder for 43 years. That's
with the help of Chief Police Hayes. Come on. Dennis Gasper was Michael Holman's training officer. He worked with him 5 days a week for about 1 to 2 months. And in the summer of 1981, Gasper became a detective and was on an assignment to go undercover and stake out an apartment complex where there had been several break-ins and sexual assaults reported. Gasper reported that he saw a shirtless man exit a parked car and walk around the building, but he lost sight of him. I'm like, stakeout fail. That's like all you're there to do is get this guy. 3 days later, he was on the stakeout again and saw who appeared to be the same man looking in windows. Same car too. Gasper pursued him, but he ran off into a path near the woods, but the man's car was still parked there. So Gasper ran the plates.
No.
Yep. Registered to Michael Holman. So he sits there and he waits for him. He's got to come back sometime. His car's here.
Mikey, it's me.
So the peeping Tom makes his way back to his car, only to find a cop there. And of course,
a cop he knows well.
A cop he knows. And of course, it's Michael Holman. Gasper says, what the hell are you doing here? And he just says nothing. So he places him under arrest and calls a squad car to transport him.
Okay.
They couldn't get him on anything other than trespassing, though. But according to the Innocence Project, no more reports of sexual assaults were made after this arrest.
So. That's interesting.
So I think it's very clear who murdered Pat. Very clear evidence pointing to him. But instead, the heavily medicated patient under psychiatric care who never met Pat was charged.
Oh my God. And like question and under intense distress.
This is
crazy.
Oh my God, it's insane. And this is the worst part. I'm so
sorry.
I'm so sorry to report that motherfucker died in 2015. So he'll never be there. Yeah, he'll never pay for this. So Sandra's defense team presents all of this in an evidentiary hearing, and her conviction was overturned in June 2024. But Attorney General Andrew Bailey fought against her release and argued she should stay in prison for other crimes she committed in the 80s outside of Pat's murder, like illegal drug possession. That incident with the knife in the closet.
Oh,
fuck off.
I have a counter argument. Time served.
Yeah.
Time served. She's done 43 years. I think we're all square here. And actually,
you owe me a fat settlement, you piece of shit.
Okay, here she goes.
He's a current general attorney too.
Oh, he is? Well, yeah. He's not a good one.
This bullshittery kept her in jail for another month when her dad was dying of kidney failure. Sandra's dad is still alive.
Holy shit.
He was in the hospital. It was part of the motion to release her as soon as possible so that she could go sit by his side and say goodbye. And this asshole called the warden and told prison officials not to release her.
I'm really pissed.
But Judge Horstman wasn't having it and said that if Sandra wasn't released within hours, he would hold the Attorney General's office in contempt for ignoring a court order.
There you are.
So finally, she was released in July 2024, a few weeks ago. And that's probably the news break you may or may not have seen. It's America's longest wrongfully convicted female prisoner finally released after 43 years in jail. And I really wish I could end there, but I can't.
Oh, do not tell me anything else.
I'm so
Is
sorry.
everyone involved in the original case dead, I'm assuming?
I don't No. Patrick Robb, who's the prosecutor back then, so he's actually a judge now.
Oh, okay. Well, is he in trouble? Is everyone in trouble? Is there an undisclosed amount? Where's the undisclosed amount?
They actually, no, I think he testified for her. Was like, I had no idea about the earrings until 10 days ago. He said, like, I don't think anyone's in trouble here.
Okay.
She better be getting a fat settlement. I really do wish I could end there. I do have 2 pages left.
Oh, no.
But first, after her release, she met her daughter, sister, and granddaughter, who she had only seen a picture of, in a park and didn't make a statement to the press. But her attorney said within hours she was at the hospital with her dad. And aside from sleeping, she has spent every day there. But here's the thing. This is not the first time St. Joseph's PD wrongly accused a patient from the state hospital.
Oh, no.
Quick story time and warning. I do mention harm against a child, but I do not get into details at all. This is a quick overview, but I have to tell you what they've done in the past.
Oh, God.
This is so batshit. Okay.
And we know there are good cops in St. Joseph.
Oh my God. 100%. I know,
but you got it. They're not everyone's bad, but this is a bad case.
This is bad.
You can't add us for that. You can add them, the bad people, but not us. Thank you.
May of 1978, 2 years before the murder, Edward and Vicky Christian. It's spelled Christgen, but everyone I heard said,
Christian.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to say Christian. It's going to sound like I'm saying Christian, but they're very prominent members of the community. I think they owned a lumber company or something. They had a 4-year-old son named Eric who was regularly looked after by a girl named Karen Carter. I think she was a teenager, just as babysitter. One day, Karen was running errands with Eric when he saw a playground he wanted to play on. So she let him play on it while she ran into a nearby store. She came back and he was gone. Again, I won't get into details, but he was assaulted and his body was found the next day on top of a hill in a wooded area.
He was 4
years old.
She left him at a playground.
I think how I picture it, and I don't know why, but this errand was downtown St. Joseph, I think. So I picture like a playground in the middle, like a town square, a small little town, playground in the middle. She ran into a store, ran out, no more than 5 minutes. He's gone.
I'm sure
it's the 80s.
I know.
And
no,
it's
you're
the
right.
80s.
You're right.
Come
I'm
on.
sure she feels awful. I shouldn't have said that.
We wandered off and crossed the highway 30A, and
that's true.
When
and
we were 3 years old
and naked.
So,
we disrobed.
If you want to
Where
judge
were
anyone,
mom and dad actually?
I know. If you want to judge any caregivers, it's Randy and Carolyn Britton.
Letting their 3-year-old twins who were never up to mischief.
I actually, I asked Dad about that, and he was like, "What do you mean? Where were we? We had a kid in the ocean, a kid building sandblocks, 2 twins going crazy. It was just chaos.
It was chaos until it wasn't, and that's when we noticed that you two were gone.
Yeah, exactly.
We were like, bye.
Y'all outshot us by 2. Y'all we really outnumbered them.
Again, the 80s.
The 80s, man. Mm-hmm. A babysitter leaving a kid to play, slide down the slide while she ran into a spot. That doesn't strike me as
4 years old.
Whoa, you should know better. No, you probably wouldn't have known. Mm-hmm. This was the first child murder in town, and it was to a well-known family. So pressure was definitely on to get this monster, and police got right to work. They determined whoever killed Eric must be of a certain build to be able to carry this boy up this big hill to this wooded area, seemingly kicking and screaming. Who knows?
Oh.
There were a few witnesses who saw a man exit the woods around this time, and a few people who appeared to be the same man, same description, with a boy. So without a doubt, this is your guy. Witnesses say he was in his 50s. He's 5'10", 200 pounds.
His name was Michael Holman.
I know. You would think.
You would think.
It's not.
Obviously.
On a separate account, someone said they saw a man named Melvin Lee Reynolds in the area around that time. According to LA Times, Melvin had a rough go as a child. He was immediately considered, quote, different. He was skinnier than all the kids, so he's picked on school. On top of that, he was confused about his sexuality growing up and would sometimes wear dresses, which didn't bode well in a small town in the 70s, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So he was sent to the state hospital to undergo counseling.
No.
Ugh. The LA Times article actually says, quote, with the help of a psychologist, Melvin focused on being a heterosexual man.
Oh, man.
And this LA Times article is from 1985. So
I mean,
they're like saying it's not like they are making fun of it. They're actually saying like, but with the help of a psychologist, he focused on being heterosexual. It's like a matter of fact.
oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
In 1978, he fell in love with a woman and they got engaged and he was ready to start his life and move on from St. Joseph bullies. But then a boy was murdered. Let me remind you, the suspect several people saw in those woods or near those woods that day is in his 50s, 5'10", 200 pounds. Melvin is 25 years old, 5'8", and already mentioned, very thin.
Yeah, but they shopped at the local state hospital. And they're like, oh, here's
Right.
a boy. They did.
Here's a guy.
Here's a male. There you
Yeah.
go. Oh, God.
And
I'm pissed.
Melvin, apparently, he very much struggled with being accepted. Apparently, he was very much a people pleaser, very compliant, really wanted people's approval. So he was a vulnerable candidate to be questioned by police, very easily intimidated. But he wasn't the only one on the suspect list. There was another guy named Harry Fox who was questioned first. Fox was an overweight man who they didn't think could climb this bluff where Eric's body was. He was a janitor and a well-respected man, lived a quiet life. He was questioned twice. I have no idea why they honed in on him, but the second time they took him to the bluff to see if he could walk up it, and he had to stop midway through and walk backwards to, you know how that saves energy and going up a hill, and it's less pressure on your back. I think it helps, whatever.
Yeah.
He physically couldn't do it. He was brought in a third time for an interrogation for God knows what reason. And Harry tells the cops he didn't understand why he was even here. And he starts throwing up. Then he starts convulsing.
Oh.
And in the middle of the interrogation, he has a heart attack and dies.
No.
Can you believe this? I mean, this is literally the only time in researching a story that I'm like, thank God there are no surveillance cameras where this would surface on the internet. This is horrible.
Oh, wow. And
But again, don't even know. I wish there were, because then Sandy's case would have been resolved first.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was innocent? Or like, did they show any of the witnesses a picture of him? And they were like, no, that's him.
No.
Like, was he stressed? Okay. Wow. I mean, obviously he was stressed.
Very overweight and out of health. I mean, he just
died
of a heart attack and bad health. I'm sorry. They turned their attention back on Melvin. And according to the LA Times, when the detective asked him if he murdered this little boy, he said, no, but I will say it if you want me to.
No, he did not.
Yes. And they're like, that'd be great. Thanks. I'm just kidding. It didn't go like that. But I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Poor guy.
It wasn't that easy, but they did question him a total of 9 times between July of 1978 and February of 1979. They hypnotized him. They questioned him for up to 13 hours at a time. And in one session, they injected him with sodium amidol, which is referred to as truth serum.
Tell me more.
It's typically used as a sedative and an anti-anxiety medication. And sometimes it's used as a pre-anesthetic before surgery. I mean, what the hell?
What? Did he have an alibi? Where's his wife or fiance?
I don't know.
Okay.
He was more in tune with reality than Sandra was and adamantly denied it until they just wore him down.
Oh, gosh.
During the false confession, he said he watched Eric at a mall for 35 minutes before kidnapping him. First of all, it was a playground, not a mall. And his babysitter was like, nope, I was gone for maybe 5 minutes, not at all 35. No. Inconsistencies aside, they charged him with murder. And he was very vocal about how he was coerced. And he only said it because he was intimidated and scared. He pled not guilty and went to trial. And he was ultimately found guilty and sentenced to life in prison.
What?
Now, I want to remind everyone what prisoners do to a child killer.
Is he still in there?
You'll see.
Way.
He must have been annihilated, though. I can't imagine his time in jail. That poor fucking guy. 4 years into his sentence, an 11-year-old girl from St. Joseph was abducted and killed in a similar manner to Eric, and police arrested 54-year-old serial killer Charles Hatcher.
No.
While he was awaiting trial, Hatcher told an FBI agent he was responsible for 16 murders, one of them being Eric Christian. And it was apparently bothering him that someone else was serving time. So he has a conscience for adults, not kids. Let's just be clear about that.
Wow.
The FBI agent was so shocked when he heard this, and Hatcher told him, come on, you're smart enough to know that these bastards in St. Joe will do anything for a confession, even if it means framing someone else to get it.
And the FBI was like, that's true.
You're a monster, but you're not wrong. Hatcher's account of Eric's murder matched the facts way better than Melvin's false confession had. He described the crime scene perfectly. He fits the eyewitness description. He later said he had a gift. He can strangle people without leaving any marks, which apparently is true.
The hell?
So thanks only to a confession of a serial killer, Melvin was released from prison nearly 5 years later. The LA Times article from 1985 said the chief of police still considers him a murderer and said Melvin's parents are so afraid of retaliation that only family knows where they live. Your son was failed and was wronged, and you're still scared. That's from an article in 1985.
Wow. Back
then, I think only 4 states paid for wrongful convictions, and Missouri wasn't one of them, so I don't think he got a dime.
Oh, my God.
I hope now he has. He also, after his release, his family and friends have kept lists down to the minute accounting for Melvin's whereabouts and his activities every day in case the police come knocking back.
That is so upsetting.
So upsetting. And those are the terrible stories that pissed me off this week so hard. And like when Sandy's release, the pictures of her reuniting with her family are in the park. She has such a smile on her face, which I'm so happy about. But the anger that would overcome me.
Oh, I know.
You missed everything. You missed your daughter's first birthday to her first day of kindergarten to the birth of her own child. Like you missed everything.
I'm really upset.
It is for
no reason.
Nothing.
Oh,
she wasn't an accessory. She wasn't anything.
Didn't even know this woman.
Didn't know this woman.
So sad.
I hope she's been able to find peace. And I hope she gets a fat fucking settlement.
Undisclosed amount.
Mm-hmm. And Pat, rest in peace. So sorry your monster murderer didn't pay for his crime.
Damn it. Wow, he really did. I was saying earlier, he got away with murder for 43 years. No, he got away with it for his life. That's insane. And
to the cops who kept that, who knew? Chief Hayes, looking at you. I don't know if you're dead. You probably are.
Yeah, if you're a chief in 1980. If not, you're real old.
And a dick.
And you suck.
Patrons. Tiffany, Katie, Parker, Adele, Leela, Sarah, Kimberly, Melissa, Mom. Well, that's creepy. Our mom died in 2020.
Mom? Is that you? That's crazy. How'd you get here?
Get the $8 tier. Just kidding.
Mom,
you only did $5.
Come on.
Candace, Megan, Nicole, Jeannie, Kelly, Rachel. Hey guys, thanks for joining.
Thanks, y'all. Y'all are the tits.
And a custom shout out from Caroline. I just want the listeners to know I sent out a big screw you to Nancy. Trust me, she's the worst. I need to know what Nancy did.
Wait. Story time.
What did Nancy do, Caroline? Tell us everything.
Nancy, that is so classic you. Don't you dare.
Don't you do that to Caroline.
Don't do that. You suck.
You suck.
Wow.
Thanks. So thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you, Caroline.
Thanks, Caroline.
Oh my God. That is so funny. Thank y'all. Y'all are the best. People are the worst.
Bye-bye.
Bye.